Today, I want to talk about some of the comments that I've got. I'm very excited about how many comments that I get on my YouTube channel, and I'm very thankful for all the subscribers who've come here. We're almost to 3,800. In fact, we're I saw this morning, away from 3,800. So keep the comments coming. Please share with your friends. But today, I want to talk about some of the comments and help you guys get a better feel for what we're doing. So stay tuned. I know today we're talking a lot about comments, and some of you are having some issues in trying to figure out how all of this works. And I would suggest to you, and this is just not about me making money, because I've got this price down to just $15 for this book. But what this book will do is actually use it as a manual to help you get a better understanding of the mindset necessary to make this work. I've been amazed. Every day of my career, I've left my office with the word wow on my lips when I see people of all ages, from all different things, who've had problems for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and all of a sudden something happens and I show them what to do, and the mindset flips and the problem is erased. Blows my mind. So I'm telling you, each of you, go over to Amazon, buy this book. I've put the price down to $15 so that it's affordable for everybody. But it's a read that's worth reading, and then you'll get a better understanding of what I'm doing. Let's get back to the show. Welcome back to the Muscle Repair Shop. What's interesting is the comments that I get from each of you. And again, I'm very grateful for that. Please keep the comments going, because this is about teaching you how to take control of your body and stop so much of the aches, nagging aches and pains that is actually affecting your life. And the older you get, the worse they're going to get. Even if you try some of the traditional treatments, they're probably going to get worse. And we'll talk about that today. But the comments that you leave me are very similar to the comments I get from my clients who come into the office as well. So let's begin with mindset. Mindset is such a key thing in this process. When I started with this, I had been an athlete, a three-sport athlete and during high school. I'd been a trainer. I'd gone to school, became a neuromuscular and sports massage therapist. And so when I started with this and I started learning about the brain's role with the muscles themselves, I literally had to throw out everything that I had learned about the muscles when it comes to stretching and massage and rebuild from the beginning up. So most of us, when we think of stretching, we played sports in school, or we went to PE class in school, or maybe we go to a stretch class at the gym. We hear people showing us teaching us about how to do static stretching. Now, the two major one is static stretching and dynamic stretching, and we'll touch on each of those. Dynamic stretching, you'll see people where they're moving around, and sometimes, like if you watch sporting events on TV, you'll see players sort of skipping up and down the field or up and down the court. And so to me, it's not really stretching. What it really does, more importantly, is it brings warm blood into the muscle tissue, which causes the muscle tissue to become more pliable. Static stretching, on the other hand, is about holding a position for 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, sometimes up to a minute. I've seen some that goes 2 and 3 minutes holding it like that. And so what's happening there is the longer you hold that stretch, and especially if it starts to become painful, the more the brain contracts the muscles fighting against what you're doing. So if I'm pulling my arm across my body here and I'm causing some discomfort back here, my brain's going to contract this to make my arm come back, but I'm pulling across here, which is resistance. Well, that's exactly what strength training is. It's the resistance against a weight or rubber band or your own body weight. So what we want to do is learn how to only hold for the 5 seconds. This is not a terrible stretch. This is a good stretch, but only hold for that 5 seconds. And the breathing out allows you to relax your mind and relax your body as you come across your body with your arm, so that the muscles here can relax. And then the repeating it 10 times, what happens there is that each time you do it, it's like your brain sees your arm come across and it goes, oh yeah, we've done this before and we were safe. And as long as the brain thinks you're safe, then the brain will allow the muscle to release and let go, which is important to understand. So really and truly, the basis of what we're talking about here with the stretch and release technique is about getting the mind to relax so that the muscles can relax. Now, I'm sure all of you have seen people at the gym. Maybe you've been one of them. You're trying to stretch as you're talking to a buddy, or you're on the phone trying to have a conversation, and maybe the conversation gets intense. What I watch and I see people is the more intense their conversation gets, the less stretching happens and the less movement happens. The other side of the coin, I see the person that's trying to stretch in the gym, and it's like, I'm going to force this. It's like they're at battle between themselves and the muscles in their body. Now, keep in mind that the muscles in your body is just reactive tissue. It's reacting to the whims of the brain. So if the brain starts to feel a lot of pain, its first job is to get you out of the pain. So what we're doing here by doing this more mindful stretching is that we're taking that fear away from the brain by gently and slowly showing the brain that you didn't die from it. That literally what's happening here is that the brain relaxes, and when the brain relaxes and feels safe, so do you. And so do your muscles. And so the reactiveness of the muscle lessens because the angst of the brain is much less. Now, I've done this with some clients who've had anxiety issues and so forth. Maybe they have ADHD, can be an issue. And it takes a little bit of work because the brain is just moving 100 miles an hour. But as you start to slowly work and you do it, the 5 seconds is like no time. So it's a great way to really practice how to bring the brain back down, the thought process back down. And what you'll find is that as you do that, now all of a sudden the muscles become softer and become more pliable. Now, when it comes to the massage, it's the same thing. When you're doing self-massage on your body, it's not digging in and digging in and digging in. It's like, I know that so many of you have gone to like deep tissue massage therapists. I was trained in deep tissue massage therapy. And here's the ironic thing. All of my teachers in my deep tissue massage therapy class were once deep tissue massage therapists who damaged their thumbs by pressing against contracted hard muscles. So hear me out. The teachers who were teaching me how to do deep tissue massage therapists, they were all deep tissue massage therapists who had damaged their hands doing deep tissue massage therapy. Why would you do that? So when you go and have a deep tissue massage therapy session, there's nothing wrong with going a little deeper, but the therapist has to coach you into breathing and give you time to breathe and let go. If they press too hard, you'll never be able to breathe and you'll never be able to let go. If they got to work their way into it by allowing you to understand what's happening so that you can breathe and let that muscle release, because you release the fear from the brain. Now, I realize for some of you, this is probably a different take. And even for those of you who are therapists of different types, it's a different take. But the one thing I have watched with people who come in with things like plantar fasciitis they've had for 6 or 8 months, low back pain they've had for a year or two, is that once you get the mind to relax, the body relaxes with it. Period. I mean, that's just a common thing. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of peer-reviewed studies on it, although I'm starting to see more and more articles being written by different places like the Cleveland Clinic, the Mayo Clinic, and even a few in PubMed that are starting to talk about that connection between the brain and the muscles. And in fact, my wife was laughing the other day about, she's reading some of these articles that she sends to me, and she's like, you've been talking about this for 20 years. I did have been, and I'm so glad to see it catching on at this point, because it can change your life and how you think about your muscles. The other thing about muscles is that there's a strength training component and there's a stretching component. So let's put it in terms of cars, because most people can understand their cars. The strength training, which is for power, is like putting gasoline in your car for the power of the engine, right? The stretching, which is like lubrication, is like putting the oil in the engine so that the engine won't blow up. Two different things, both are needed. Leave one out, the car stops. And so will your body. And that's the thing that you want to remember, is that You want to keep in mind that you need the strength training, especially as you're aging, because the strength training building muscle mass is going to keep you healthy, keep you more mobile. And here's how it does that. Number one, when you're trying to build more muscle mass, and I don't care what age you are, you've got to increase your intake of protein. Protein is a great source for helping to build muscle mass and muscle strength. As you build the muscle mass and muscle strength, you improve the density of your bones. You maintain your mobility. More importantly, if you happen to have a little bit of fat in the middle and you want to lose some fat, increasing your muscle mass actually is fueled by glucose, which helps to reduce the fat on your body better than cardio, which is now coming out in studies. You can look them up and you can see it anywhere on the internet. They'll talk about that. And so the point is that by building that muscle mass, you can have better posture, you can have better mobility, your bones are going to be healthier, you're going to lose more fat, and lastly, it's going to make you feel more confident. You know, most of the issues that people have with joint replacements and disc problems in their back did not start out that way. It started out with muscle imbalances and it wore the joints out or it wore the disc out in their back. By letting go of that tension in the muscle, which is all stretching is, and then building your strength back, you can improve your posture and you can stave off some of those problems that most people are facing today. So I'm hoping this will help in your thought process with this. Please leave your comments down below. I am developing courses. I do want to continue to hear comments from you about that, what you'd like to see in that. And for now, see you. I hope you enjoyed this last video. Be sure to click on the video here to my left and enjoy.